So apparently Japan has been having a lot of problems recently. I think a lot with tourism, people that are trying to go to Japan and cause issues. Obviously, there have been people who are foreigners who have moved to Japan and exist there homogeneously and try to respect the culture. This is becoming less of a thing, unfortunately.
Receiving messages from people asking me if Japan is okay, linking a rather ominous sounding video called "What is Happening to Japan?" It wasn't just the title and thumbnail that were ominous, but the description reading, "Is Japan cooked?" I've seen a lot of changes and things seem to be getting worse.
Are they getting cooked?
In an era where I'm now being sent daily AI videos and photos that sorely misrepresent Japan.
So places that don't exist, people that don't exist, disasters that don't exist. And this is also okay, so everything, basically Japan is being turned into a cartoon.
Bizarre and questionable accounts. It made an almost refreshing change to be sent something produced by a human being. And more crucially, a creator who is one of the biggest foreign content creators living in Japan.
Wow.
With 1.4 million subscribers on YouTube alone and hundreds of thousands more across other social media platforms. In fact, the same video had been chopped up into half a dozen videos without dialogue and shared on Instagram and TikTok, amassing over 3 million views in just a matter of days.
That's a lot of people.
Now I was especially concerned, not just as somebody living in Japan or Tokyo, but actually this street where the thumbnail's taken is somewhere I walk down once or twice a week in Nakameguro. One of my favourite coffee shops is just around the corner, and in fact, this video I made earlier in the year was filmed on the same street, albeit at a different angle, not showing the abandoned house. And not to mention, I've actually been living in the neighbourhood myself for the last 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And when I went to take the thumbnail for my video...
So you actually went to the same exact place?
I quickly noticed a few interesting differences between my original ungraded photos and the thumbnail of her video. It is a rather fascinating game of spot the difference.
So are you telling me that she's sitting around there acting like it's that bad and she's photoshopping in extra graffiti? That is just...
So naturally I was a bit concerned to find out what is happening to Japan, especially as over 3 million people had seen this message. For half of the runtime of the video, the creator in question...
Why? In order to make it look worse? I mean, maybe that's the only way I could explain it.
Through Kabukicho in Shinjuku, Japan's biggest nightlife district, with a reputation for being dirty and gritty, filming bin bags,
this where the hoes are at?
And homeless people. In the short-form content, the same videos show the litter being intercut at times with foreign tourists, who are queuing unremarkably to take a photo of the Toho Godzilla statue, although the angle of the statue was left out of the footage.
Sure.
And it's at this point I need to reiterate, if you don't know Japan, Kabukicho or Shinjuku can be a bit of a shock. It's the equivalent of walking through downtown LA or Soho in London. But in recent years, it's been gentrified more than perhaps anywhere in Tokyo. It used to be genuinely quite dangerous. I remember 10 years ago, in a hotel...
It sounds a lot like Austin downtown. Like Austin downtown, especially like Rainy Street across the highway, used to be a PvP server, but it had very good loot areas. But now it's just been totally gentrified and there's just normal people that are walking around. The same thing happened at 6th Street. Well, like 6th Street goes on, right? And it goes across it goes across I-35, which is the highway here. And then it's like everywhere in that place. Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Reservation there and had to cancel it after there was a Yakuza shootout quite literally across the road from the hotel. The area is also synonymous with Tokyo's homeless population as far back as 2003, when the film Tokyo Godfathers shone a spotlight on the long-standing homeless population, which, according to the statistics, is thankfully going down. And if you walk around there today, compared to 10 years ago, there are far less homeless people.
He knows this better than I do, so I don't really know if this is accurate, but I always heard that the homeless population in Japan was underrepresented because many of them ended up sleeping in places very late at night. But, you know, that's just what I heard.
Crucially, Kabukicho and Shinjuku doesn't represent Tokyo, it doesn't represent Japan, but if you wanted to make Japan look cooked, it would be the first place you would go, pull out your camera and hit record. The other half of the runtime...
And this is the problem, right, is that a lot of the places in any of these countries, you're going to have shitholes in every country. Like, you know, you go to the Hamptons, and I'm sure there's going to be places that are shitholes. You go to Dubai, and I'm sure there's going to be places that are shitholes. Like, that's just what happens. It's a really big place. Like, I didn't realize I didn't realize like the kind of place Japan was until I watched Sea Dog's marathon. And I'm watching Sea Dog just bike through a place that it's like, oh, this reminds me of where I was growing up. Like, it's not like Japan is some foreign area that is totally built up everywhere like it makes it out in the anime. It's a huge fucking area, like probably hundreds of miles long. I don't know how long it is. Very big. Yeah, there's some places in it that aren't so good. Sure. Duh. I mean, it's the same thing with Portland or Chicago here in America. Everybody says Portland and Chicago are so bad. Well, yeah, of course they're bad. There are places that are bad for sure, but also there are places that are good. And you can find terrible places in every city. That's just the way it is because that's human nature. So, yeah, I think it's a very complex issue, and it does seem like people are trying to intentionally make it worse in order to create a degree of sensationalism.
In these videos was dedicated to Nakameguro, a trendy district that's historically one of Tokyo's most artistic neighbourhoods, and with a recent history of graffiti, both artistic and just tagging, where people just spray paint their name. A few years ago, I think it was 2019, there was quite a lot of graffiti, and the local schools got together to paint over it, then the graffiti came back again. But when Japanese TV made a video on it, interviewing locals, interestingly, they didn't intercut it with shots of Asia's biggest nightlife district and call it What is Happening to Japan. They called it Residents Expressed Discomfort at 37 graffiti sites found around Nakameguro Station. And maybe that's why, despite having...
I think that, like, again, I have kind of a more... Like, I really like the artistic art that people will do. And there's, like, a couple of pretty iconic ones that we have here in Austin that are, like... I don't know, it sounds stupid, but they're like noteworthy graffitis that are just in the city, and I wouldn't want to see them all get painted over. But the problem is you have every retard and every retard's retarded friend. Terry was here, Barry was here, Bill was here, Ted was here, like Mark was here. It's just fuck. Do we need to have all of these? Just draw a flower. Right? Low effort shit. Yeah. D's Nuts was here. It's annoying.
Twice the number of subscribers. They only got 100,000 views instead of almost 500,000. Silly traditional.
So he's trying to make he's trying to make the obvious criticism that the girl who's doing this is basically peddling extremism and alarmism in order to get more people to talk about it. I feel like this example is okay, but this is also an example that's in Japanese, and so you can't really compare that to an English video, but, you know, it's not that big of a deal. I think what he's saying fundamentally is true.
Media attempting to present news in an objective manner in 2025. Yeah. And so at this point you might be thinking, okay, right, so what's happened to Japan?
Is Japan cooked?
Lean in. Come closer. Come over.
Okay.
That was it. That was literally it. In a country of 120 million people, they were all cooked because of some bin bags.
It's over?
In a red light district and some spray paint on a wall down 6 or 7 streets in the capital city. And while the YouTube video was 15 long, stupid minutes I'll never get back, it was the short form content that really concerned me.
Damn.
We live in a scary time when more people now than ever before learn things about countries and cultures from 30 to 60-second videos without context, and where the more sensationalist the videos are, the more you will be rewarded for it. People are angry, both in Japan and around the world at the moment, and this video, or these videos, seem to be exceptional rage bait that made a lot of people angry. Without any exposition on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, they showed a series of awful images in a densely populated area, and if you look at the comments...
It's collapsing. Graffiti, writing on the walls, American athlete... Yeah, there's definitely a lot of, like, I do think that, and this is going to be a big read, and I know people are going to disagree with this, but I think that if you're going to be honest, you have to see where I'm coming from. I think a lot of this does absolutely have a racial connotation. There is a racial connotation to this. And again, I think no country has an obligation to bring in every race of every person. However, there is absolutely a racial connotation to it as well, and they are playing into it.
Sections, particularly on those shorts, you will see the most vile, hateful, angry
is that what they're
comments
calling
that you
it?
can find. A creator isn't responsible for what people
Yeah, and you can see here again, cultural enrichment, graffiti, foreigners, immigrants, globalization. I think that, again, these are primarily Westerners that are unhappy about this happening in their country, and they're seeing what they perceive to it be happening. Like, for example, like, oh, and it makes sense, right? Because, like, you have a lot of Westerners that, you know, they have their country that's being overrun by migrants in Europe, let's say, and they hate this, and then they're seeing it happen to Japan too, and they're like, well, fuck, this shouldn't be happening to you guys either because this is happening to us. But the problem is that the information that they're getting fed is curated in a way that's misleading in order to make them more angry. You see kind of what I'm saying here? You do the same shit? Well, I've actually been pretty. My policy with this is I don't know. Like I feel like I've been pretty simple with the way that I look at it. I'm super simple with it. I wouldn't let any of them in. Period. Done. Nope. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Of course. That's my viewpoint.
On their content, but subtle choices, the way the images and clips are cut and edited together with the message that goes with it can have a very powerful effect. As somebody who's edited over 300 videos, I'm more aware of that than anyone. The most unsettling thing is it's never been easier to monetize sensationalist slop content. And if you do it, you'll be richly rewarded for it. Case in point, this video, the creator pointed out, made $1,500.
That's it?
Is a seriously impressive amount of money for going around filming some bin bags and some spray paint in a video that would have taken a matter of hours to record. And this is one of the things that worries me the most, the monetization of slop sensationalist content. That's one thing
I don't think that's really anything new, unfortunately. I think that the mainstream media has been doing this for years, and sensationalizing media is obviously it's going to be more entertaining. It's going to be more interesting because it's going to get more people to watch, right? That's why anything that happens, it's always dialed up a little bit more to media because the media can use that in order to push some sort of agenda to get people scared. And that way they keep watching the news again. There's always these different techniques that they use in order to effectively control your emotions and your mind. Why does it matter if she's portraying Japan intentionally in a bad way? People can just dislike the video. Well, nobody's saying that she's not allowed to post a video. I don't think he's saying she shouldn't be allowed to post it. I think that it's just a criticism of misrepresenting things. I think that we can all collectively come together and say that misrepresenting things is a bad idea. That's all there is to it. It's not like take Japan out of the context, take immigrants out of the context. When you're misrepresenting things, it's a bad idea. It's not even misrepresenting, it's straight up lying. Yeah, and I'm not talking about, like, you know, we've made AI thumbnails of like somebody crying or something like that. You could say, oh, that's too much. Like, personally, I don't really care about that. Other people do, that's up to them. But I try not to misrepresent things in the video intentionally.
Discuss a little bit later on. It's at this point I thought, look, just don't say anything, bite your tongue, move on. But when I saw millions upon millions of views, people angry, a current backdrop of sensationalist slop content taking over, and a rise in anti-foreign sentiment here in Japan, I snapped. I had to say something. I chose to bring attention to it publicly. And I quickly received 2 replies. The first was from a guy who posted a photo of some graffiti he saw in 1993, pointing out graffiti has always been around in Tokyo. And the
it's
other
the same thing. I mean, like, same thing here in Austin.
Comment was from the content creator herself, who told me to take it down. This was now a creator on creator matter, and they were just a humble creator with a GoPro.
Bitch, shut the fuck up. You sitting around there talking shit, starting trouble, making videos, fucking photoshopping in a thumbnail to make it look worse. You're sitting around trying to tell him not to criticize you. What do you mean? You stepped into the arena. You are in the public space. Welcome to the fucking show. Quit being a bitch. That's the way it goes. You want to go and cry about it. It leads to creator-on-creator harassment. Oh, no, I'm being harassed. No, you're not. You're being reminded that you're a fucking liar. People are trying to help you. Get the fuck out. What a joke. Any criticism is harassment. Yeah, bro, get the fuck out of here. What a joke.
Somehow conveniently forgetting they were one of...
Yeah, and thank you. And he even says right here, if you're not willing to have your public opinions scrutinized, then don't bother making them publicly for cheap views. You're entitled to your opinion as I am to mine. Exactly, yeah. You just can't stand the heat? Get out of the kitchen. That's the way it goes.
The biggest foreign content creators in Japan. Now, I think if you are a large content creator, both literally and metaphorically, you should be willing to accept a degree of scrutiny. I know I do. Every time I release a video, people attack me for various things. And if I see something that I believe misconstrues reality, then I'm going to call it out as well. Impressively, no less than 6 hours later, she had shot, edited, and released an entire video about what
Japan's gatekeeper problem.
Called an attack, calling me a gatekeeper. I was accused of painting Japan as a utopia. I was accused of
But the only person who painted was the one that you were... She's the one painting. She put an extra graffiti up.
Her from my friendship group, somebody I've never met, never spoken to. I was accused of being grumpy, maybe because her viewers had claimed that she was
wow, you're like a female Chris Broad, except for prettier and less grumpy. You simp. You sad little simp. Yeah. Oh, God. And then, you know what the worst part is? The fact that she's feeding them. She's feeding them with the little likes. Oh, I liked your pay. Oh, ooh, you're a good boy. God damn it, man.
Attractive than me, less grumpy. And no, I'm not making this up. This is actually a real video. And finally, I was called the C word, just to add the cherry on
What's
top.
the C word?
It is, ironically, one of the most bizarre, personal, rambling attacks that I've ever had. And I think it is really pointless. It degrades any sort of debate or conversation.
Please don't waste your time watching this. A cunt? I mean, that's not even a big deal, right?
And it's the least important thing that I want to talk about today. And for some clarity, I really don't dislike this person. I dislike their content, not just this video, but some other videos, which I'll discuss. I know I can be sarcastic and silly, but I'm genuinely not a malicious person.
Isn't that crazy that you can just disagree with somebody's opinion and the way that they presented something rather than immediately hating them and wanting them to die in real life? I wish that more normal people felt this way. Like I really do. It's so unnecessary.
Wish her well. And I ask you, if you disagree with her, if you disagree with me, that you always comment in a respectful manner and don't share any hatred online. There's already enough of that going around. And I'm making this video for 2 reasons. Number one, there are much bigger issues in play here around content creation, around Japan, and I want to discuss those. And second of all, some people see it as me bullying another creator because they don't.
This is a hose mad situation. Someone's running wild, telling lies, talking shit, making things up. They get called out for it, and now they're getting bullied. You're not getting bullied, you're getting corrected. The idea that larger creators shouldn't be able to criticize smaller creators is a narrative that's created by smaller creators in order to guilt trip larger creators to not criticize them. There's no logic or rationality in this at all, and it shouldn't be taken seriously in any way. It's just stupid.
I don't understand why I would bring this up. And honestly, I don't do this sort of thing lightly. The only time I think I've ever called out a creator was Mr. Beast last year when he partnered with Logan Paul, a man who did awful things in Japan, which I had to discuss publicly on Japanese national television. I didn't enjoy making that video or the attention or scrutiny it brought me. I hate myself sometimes, that I can't keep my mouth shut on certain things. But when you feel something is profoundly wrong in here, you have to talk about it. I've held my tongue previously on other content that this creator has produced. A few years ago, a friend showed me a clip of a video in which the same person walked through an economically deprived part of Tokyo filming homeless people.
Oh my gosh, this is a rough area.
Treat them like a zoo! Oh, they do this in India too. People don't talk about that. Is that people go to India and they go to the worst places in India and they're like, "Wow, here I am in India. It's super bad." And it creates a culturally distorted narrative that is degrading to that group of people, and I don't think it's a good thing. I don't like it. It's weird.
The guise of showing the real Japan, filming the most vulnerable people in society and posting it online. Like, I've had Japanese friends tell me this sort of stuff makes them feel uncomfortable.
It's
Beyond
weird.
that, it sort of portrays Japan as this magical place where there's a barrier between us, where if you speak Japanese, they will bounce around, they will scream and shout, it will cure depression. As if the...
This is what I think is just like... This is one of the big issues that I hope the internet would solve, and I think it has in a lot of ways, is that now that we have like an international online community, you can have a conversation with a guy that's like in Japan or a guy that's like in Germany or South Africa or, I don't know, like fucking Dubai, and you can just talk about things. It's not a big deal, and you can realize like, okay, yeah, these guys are a lot like you, right? In many cases, like not all cases, but you know, there's things that are similar. But like this weird like regression that we're having to this like normie lowest common denominator treating foreigners like Pokemon situation, it's just not necessary. It's really not necessary. It's weird. And I don't know, like, it's just weird. Logan Paul did that. Well, he dressed up like a Pokemon, didn't he? Yeah. And also people are very mad at him for that. It was bad that he did that. And so, like, obviously, right? This is happening because of the new prime minister? Well, no. I mean, this has been something that's going on. This is a 2-year ago video, right?
Entire country is one big social experiment waiting to be exploited. And I worry in an era of nuisance content creators coming to Japan doing things that are unspeakably bad. They might see this sort of content and go, wow, you get $1,500 for that. Maybe start.
This is a huge problem in multiple countries. I think that South Korea is having the same issue as well. I think that Japan has this issue, and it's more specific, because I think that America in general, especially young Americans, millennials, and Gen Z, and probably also Gen X Americans, have I think in general, like a cultural sympathy towards Japan, because a lot of us grew up with Japanese anime, Japanese cartoons, maybe Japanese video games, right? And so we've kind of seen an idealized version of Japan. And so when you have people go over there and destroy what seems like a very nice culture that a lot of people in America would say, like, oh, I wish America was more like this. You know, it seems like you're effectively going into a, you know, like a church and knocking things over, right? Like, obviously this is a metaphor, it's not direct, but that's effectively the feeling that people get from it. And I think that's the real problem that a lot of people have with this, is the fact that it just continues to, it's like, it's parasitic travel content that turns people into content in a way that is not disgusting, but it's degrading, I think, in a lot of ways. High trust societies must be protected. Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. But at the same time, you can see how other people do this maliciously also.
Wave cameras around in the faces of homeless people, potentially leading to even more nuisance content. And when the cost of making such content is nothing, but the profits are extraordinary, the only real thing stopping you from doing that is morals. And as we've seen time and again with streamers in Japan, morals are often in short supply. And coupled with the fact
it's because they're not going to get checked. Japan, it seems like to me, is a very polite and very nice society, and it's a homogenous, high-trust society. And so people can go to Japan and act a fool, and Japanese aren't really ready for that. Like, they never do this in Dubai. They never do this in China. They never do it in Russia. Why is that? Everybody knows why. They do it in Japan because they can get away with it.
There's rising anti-foreign sentiment in Japan.
That's it.
It makes me concerned and uncomfortable. So what are the real issues facing Japan? What is happening to Japan? In the last few weeks, I've been travelling around the country, filming videos. I've been to Sendai, Nagano, Nagoya, Gifu, Okinawa, and spending time with the locals out there, talking with them, hearing their concerns.
This is really not, I mean, like, really, this is the kind of shit I was saying. Like, I thought it was, like, really all, I didn't know Japan had so much of this like kind of rural type area. I had no idea about this.
I can assure you, none of them care about a fucking bin bag in Shinjuku or some spray paint on a wall in Nakameguro.
What a surprise.
The two most notable things are depopulation and a cost of living crisis. And funnily enough, while this
It's the same everywhere.
stuff was happening, I was on an island in Okinawa interviewing the locals on how depopulation has affected their island, where once there were hundreds of people, today there are 50, and this has obviously affected island life.
Wow.
And quite honestly, I would much rather be editing that video than talking about this. But it will take me weeks to edit that video and do the islanders' story justice.
And also note, anti-foreigners mainly means anti-third world foreigners, to be honest. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously. I mean, and I think that there's very clearly like a big distinction between people that are coming from cultures that are like more homogenous and closer to yours. Like, for example, like a person who is from Germany could probably come to America and have less friction than maybe a person who's coming from, I don't know, Afghanistan, let's say. Because the cultures are more are more connected, right? There's like more of there's a shared language, at least with a lot of Germans, they can speak English, etc. Right? Canada and America, there's going to be a closer connection there than Canada and Argentina, obviously.
This takes me to the real crux of the matter, the thing that worries me the most. In the same time that it will take to produce this video, I could go out and film 50 of these videos.
Yep.
Make a lot more money with a lot less effort. It is increasingly hard to compete when you're producing videos to a higher standard, when you have to fact check everything. The creator of this video claimed it took 50 hours to produce this video. A claim I find to be, quite frankly, baffling. I'm not sure where the 50 hours went. And you might think, well, he does sound kind of jealous now. Maybe she's right. Maybe he's just not getting the views. And I say far from it. I could go out and make this content in one afternoon in Tokyo. What I'm saying is social media platforms don't care. They don't reward accuracy. They don't reward nuance or objective reason.
I think that they do over time. And I think that people who make misrepresented content and make bad content will fail over time. Like, it doesn't happen immediately, but it will happen in general. Like, there have been content creators that damage their credibility, and they do it bit by bit, and before you know it, nobody cares about them anymore. It self-corrects. So doing stuff like that is a lot like doing steroids. You're going to get a lot of immediate results, and you're going to be stronger, and you're going to get what you want, but there might be long-term side effects to it that will make you look bad or be embarrassing in a longer-term period, right? And I think that's kind of what happens with a lot of this content, is that whenever you're making extremely toxic, highly, opportunistic content like this, eventually, and here's another issue, is that you attract an audience of people who only wants that. So you always have to up the ante. It always has to be more extreme. It always has to be more damaging. And I'm not even saying that there aren't problems in Japan. I think that there are in a lot of cases. I'm sure there are. And, maybe there are issues with foreigners that are there that are causing problems. Absolutely. But fundamentally, if you make a career out of misrepresenting things and looking to just simply make up bullshit to start drama, eventually people will stop taking you seriously. And I think that every drama content creator runs into that problem. And that's one of the reasons why, like, for me personally, I've always been involved in drama, but I always try to stay as objective as possible. Because I know that once you stop being objective and you start weaponizing your audiences for your own personal viewpoints, that's whenever the audiences slowly stop respecting you. And eventually, they don't care at all anymore. And that's what happens. So I understand his frustration, and I think the frustration is very well placed. But, one thing that I would say that he can assure himself of is that in a long enough timeline, these people will be removed from the ecosystem of content creation through the natural selection of people just simply choosing not to watch content that is misrepresentative. That's what will happen.
They reward clicks, they reward attention, they reward sensationalism. Journalistic integrity really doesn't count for much online, unfortunately, to an almost dystopian degree. Some criticisms leveled at me is that
this is one of the big problems too, is that, and this is an issue that happens inside of mainstream media as well. And so this is one of the reasons why a lot of YouTubers and smaller content creators, like independent content creators, don't really get criticized for this. It's because mainstream media doesn't set a good example of this either. When you have mainstream media putting like a fucking Nurgle filter on Joe Rogan when he's talking about taking ivermectin for COVID, it's pretty hard to criticize Mr. Beast for doing a video with Logan Paul. You see kind of what I'm saying here? Because you have like these national, like international corporations doing this, and it's like, okay, well, if they're doing it, why are you getting mad at like some influencer doing it? And so really it's a problem that like mainstream media allows and alternative media imitates.
They make sensationalist content, that I only show the nice side of Japan, the squeaky clean, rose-tinted spectacle version of the country. And to that I would say there's a big difference between sensationalist content and clickbait titles and thumbnails. I hate having to
Why
put
the
a
fuck would somebody want to make content in a shithole? Really? Why would you want to go down to the worst area in the town and show how, oh yeah, look at this, everything's bad?
face. I hate my thumbnails and titles, but it is simply a matter of survival on an increasingly crowded platform that doesn't share your content unless it has a high click-through rate. And I try to make up for the stupid faces and titles by delivering content that does the subject matter justice. And the claim that I show only the over-romanticised utopian version of Japan is simply ridiculous. Does this look romanticised? Is this a utopia? Does that look romanticised?
Looks nice.
Is
Looks
this
like
a
my backyard.
utopia?
It's my backyard.
But do I walk through economically deprived parts of Tokyo and Osaka filming homeless people with
well,
a
I think it's the gawking at them, and then it's also the spectrum, right? It's like if the only time that you're going over there and making content is to make content in the poorest areas to make it look like it's as bad as possible, I think that you're very clearly misrepresenting it. Like, I don't think anybody would have a problem if he or anybody did a video in this area once, but whenever this is the method of making content that you have, then I think it becomes very different.
Pro. No, I don't. And I'm sorry if that is the only definition of showing the dark side of Japan that you have. I cover the matters that I genuinely believe are affecting Japan the most. And in fact, I've been speaking with a homeless shelter about doing a documentary, but it's a serious topic, and these are people's lives, and I need to tackle that carefully. If you want to watch something about Japan's homeless population, Life Where I'm From has made a fantastic documentary series on the subject. I would urge you to go and watch them. I will say, I've felt sort of disheartened this year in general about so many things, about the state of the world, and this is sort of to the side of this issue.
The world is going crazy. Everybody is retarded. Nobody knows anything anymore. AI thinks for you. AI creates for you. Everybody wants to live off of the government and do nothing. People are getting fat. They're attracted exclusively to animals that aren't even real. You have more people that are simping over Pokemon than people. The people that they are simping on are OnlyFans girls that they're replying to, but it's actually an Indian man that they've contracted out to rate their dick pictures. And these guys are sex chatting to an Indian man who's telling them that their dick is big. It's just, and then they're donating to streamers, trying to get $5 for attention. And then as soon as it happens, their heart rate goes up by 50 points. It's just really, it's really bad. It really is bad. And I think that this has always been my perspective on it, right? Unless you are in it for the love of the game, you will end up becoming discouraged, unhappy, dissatisfied, or frustrated with the results that you're getting eventually. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or anything like that, but you have to actually like what you're doing. And so that's really the issue. And I'm not saying he doesn't do that. I'm not implying that, or I'm saying that. It has nothing to do with that. But what I am saying is that, are you serious about the OnlyFans girls from India? Is it more of a theory? No, it's real. And it's real, for sure. It's real. So that's the main issue that I think happens, is that, like, it's like, to me, I am very much a kind of an accelerationist. If things are bad, okay, well, let's see how bad they're gonna get. This will be entertaining. Let's watch this, right? We'll ride the bomb all the way to the fucking ground. But I can see a lot of other people that don't have my, I think, generally, like, just fucking nihilistic attitude to everything, that are very demoralized and they're very frustrated about it. And I can understand that. I can. And it makes a lot of sense. It does.
As you may know, I've been living here over a decade now, about 13 years, and I've been extremely lucky to be here. And I've always tried to show Japan in a fair and balanced way, particularly more rural areas that I love, which I've been lucky to call home. And more I'm seeing comments and discourse online that I'm just a foreign guy living in Japan. I don't understand the culture. I'm a foreign guy exploiting Japan. And I've had that claim thrown at me more in the last 12 months than in the last 12 years combined.
But you know why. You know why? It's because of people like Johnny Somali. It's because of the rising migration that's happening in Europe and America and the xenophobia that's creating because of the lack of assimilation and governmental cultural controls and other ways for them to moderate it. There's like a lack of enforcement of legal consistency. Like, and really what the point is that all of the reasons why this is happening have nothing to do with him. And it's one of these situations where, in a lot of cases, like, for example, like on Twitch, a lot of people's viewership on Twitch has categorically gone down. If you look at most people at the beginning of this year versus now, their viewership is lower than what it was. That is a website-wide issue that has happened to everybody. Sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes that's just simply the way things are going right now. And there's going to be good times and bad times, just like everything else. Because bots removed? No, it's not that simple. They've changed the way that, like, yes, they have done some measures to get rid of botting, but I can think of a few streamers that prove that botting still exists. So yeah, it's that simple.
To the point, it has sort of sucked the energy out of me a bit and made me wonder, what am I doing? Does what I do matter anymore? No matter how many documentaries I make, no matter what I shine a spotlight on, no matter who I meet or what I do, just a foreign guy exploiting Japan. And I felt lost about.
That's the way a lot of people are going to think about it. And the reason they're going to think about it has nothing to do with you. That's it.
What am I doing here? I was far happier as a smaller creator without the burden of expectations, without people overanalyzing everything I said or did.
Well, that's the problem, is that, like, you just he exists inside of a larger ecosystem of other creators and of a global cultural. I think that there has become a much larger awareness of cultural identity. And I think that awareness is being applied in pretty much every single circumstance. You're talking about people like in America that are like, okay, well, these people aren't American. These people are American. Obviously, Europe is having its own problems. And I think that that's really one of the big reasons why it's happening.
Frank, the only thing that keeps me doing this is knowing I'm very lucky to have an amazing audience of people.
Just do what you want to do, yeah.
I know you're not just numbers on a view count. You're actually real people, and I'm very grateful I've got to meet so many of you. I sort of need to know, if you're watching, that I'm not going mad here. If there's one thing to take away...
Bro, it's so ominous. Dude, it's just because there's retards that go to Japan and film IRL videos that people hate. Like, that's really it. There's not, I mean, really, in some cases it is, in some cases it isn't. But in a lot of cases, it's not that deep. It's just really, really annoying people like Johnny Somali and Atoli. I keep fucking getting that wrong. It's not Atoli. Atoli is the cool one. The dumb one, Vitali. Vitali going and causing problems in other countries. And I don't know, it sounds the same. But the point is that, that's the reason why people are mad about it. And they're mad about this happening in the U.S. also. You've got to remember is that in the United States, one of those like prank content creators was annoying somebody at a mall, and the person that they were annoying shot them with a gun. All of the comments, nobody cared. Actually, they did care. They were glad. They said, that's what you get. Shouldn't have been doing it.
From this video, it's to remember, on the road ahead, whatever the algorithm throws at you, it's never been more important to call out things that are fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
What you choose to click on has honestly never mattered
His
more.
role to self-defense as well. W. Absolute fucking W. And I bet he didn't do that shit again, did he?
Unfortunately, much of the time, you don't get a choice on what you click on some of the short form content.
Yeah, sure.
We can look at the awful things that are curated for us on screen and accept that as reality, or we can go out into the world and make sense of it for ourselves. But we must remember the bigger picture, because if we don't, I think bad things are going to happen beyond this. I don't want to be negative.
The guy actually didn't stop. He did. Yeah, I don't know.
But I have to speak my mind, otherwise what's the point of it all, right? And
Yeah,
the good
that's my
news
outlook
is
on
I'm
things.
looking forward to getting back to many wonderful videos that I've shot in the last few days on an island with Natsuki, rummaging through a forest. There's lots of great things to come, so thank you. Thank you as always.
Yeah, I can see why he's upset and frustrated too, because you've got an entire community of people that are, basically they've poisoned the well for content creators like him to go and live respectfully in other cultures. And I even see this criticism leveraged at PewDiePie as well. Is that people will just shit on them because they're not Japanese people, right? They're not ethnically Japanese. And I think anybody can obviously see that, but at the same time, there's a spectrum to this, right? And I think the problem is that what's happened is that the intentional obfuscation and misunderstanding that's happened, there's an odd racist wave against Japan lately. Yeah, but there's a lot of other reasons for that too, right? Logan Paul started it with the Suicide Forest video. Yeah, I think Logan Paul definitely did start a lot of it, but I think that was like a general negative for him. But I think what really started it is the fact that people started watching this content. And the issue is that like teenage boys like content that is mischievous, right? They like, like when I was a teenager, I watched bum fights. Like I think a lot of us probably watch stuff that is like inappropriate behavior in public spaces that is annoying. Stuff like Jackass, even sometimes you'd have some of that happen. And just in a very general sense, that's how things go. And yeah, punk generation, yeah, definitely. When you download the YouTube downvote viewer, I don't really care about that. It doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I mean, I totally support him. And I feel really bad that it's happening to somebody who I think is relatively authentic. Like abroad in Japan, I've watched a number of his videos before. And, I think he's a good guy. And in general, it's just, it's frustrating to see stuff like this happen. And I think also it's just, all it's done is contribute to more and more xenophobia. It's contributed to more and more isolationism. And I think it's really just done so in a way that's been the most cynical way possible, right? And it's awful.